Alone in the woods, the girl made her way to grandmother's house. She knocked. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Grandmother was astonished. My dear, she exclaimed, what big arms you have. They're better to hug you with. My dear, what big eyes you have. They're better to see you with. My dear, what big teeth you have.
To understand my story, you've got to hear it from the beginning. I loved my gran. Sure, we argued a lot. She was always yelling at me for not wearing dresses and getting my clothes dirty. She didn't like me learning to hunt and shoot, thought it wasn't ladylike. I'd blow up at her and would go out to the woods to get some air. Always loved the woods. Something about being around all those trees calmed me. That is, until that last time. We had a big blow-up, a major one. I stormed out, went to be with the trees. After I'd calmed down a little, I felt bad about what I said to Gran. Started picking flowers to say sorry. Then, that damn wolf showed up. I could tell something was wrong with it. I fought it off, but not before it got its teeth into my arm. Bandaged it as best I could. Hurt like hell. Felt like there was fire in my veins. I raced home to warn Gran about the wolf. When I burst through the door, she looked up from her knitting in a panic. She grabbed the .22 stashed behind a chair and pointed it at me. I tried to tell her to stop, but the only sound I could make was a strangled howl. I tried to grab the gun from her hands so we could talk, but she pulled the trigger. I smelled gunpowder and blood. Everything after that is a blur. When I came to my senses, there was blood everywhere. Gran had been attacked by some wild beast. That damn wolf, I thought. As I got up to go after it, I saw I was covered in blood too. I felt nauseous. Something was wrong. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror by the door, and saw with horror that I was the wolf. The trees couldn't calm my nerves. I found a hole and curled up inside. Maybe it was a nightmare. I'd wake up in the morning and it'd all be over. Feet crashing through the underbrush. Voices shouting. Gran's neighbors hunting the wolf that had attacked her. I almost got up to help them until I realized it was me they were after. Their fear smelled sharp, enticing. Better stay hidden. When the sun rose, I felt a prickling sensation that turned into a searing heat, like my skin was turning itself inside out. I looked down and saw that my clothes had turned into hands. Even though I looked normal, I knew I was a monster. I couldn't go home. Too dangerous. I decided to stick to the woods, keep away from people, try not to let the beast get the better of me. By day, I traveled bravely in search of a cure. I haunted fairs and markets, taverns and schoolyards, listening for any mention of some magic that could rid me of the beast. At night, I hunted. With every nightmare I killed, the beast inside me grew. Sometimes, the thrill of the hunt was too strong. The wolf took over. I'd wake up covered in blood, thrumming with excitement. That's how I was when I met Gramps for the first time. I mean, Beowulf. He's a grump, but I like him. Reminds me of Gran. Anyway, when he found me, I was all banged up from a brawl with one of those tentacle things. He wanted to help, but I wouldn't let him. Tried to chase him off. Thing is, he didn't run. He wasn't scared of me or my beast. He's got a beast of his own. He told me I had skill, but that I needed training if I wanted to become a warrior. When he said that, I felt seen for the first time. He wasn't going to cuddle me or dress me up in skirt and try to turn me into something I'm not. He gets me. We hunted together after that. I joined him in the Ravenswatch to kill nightmares and learn from a master. I became a better hunter, but the beast grew stronger too. With each transformation, I was more aware of the beast's thoughts. What was once a whisper became a howl. Even when dawn came and I was myself again, the beast was there too. My anger and hatred fed it. It was starting to take over. Even Gramps noticed. If you're not careful, you're going to lose yourself to the beast, he warned. The trees didn't help anymore. Piper's melodies riled up the beast instead of calming it down. I spent hours meditating, trying to close the doors of my mind to the beast, to keep it at bay. Whenever I opened my eyes, it was there, ready to swallow me whole. I heard a rumor that Baba Yaga might be able to help me. I clung to that hope with all my might. If I could find her, I would be cured. When I finally found Baba Yaga, I was exhausted. Fighting the monsters without and the beast within had worn me down. But the witch didn't have the cure I'd been promised. Instead, she revealed that she was the source of the nightmares that plagued Reverie. I got so mad, furious. Tears of anger welled up in my eyes. I'd been tricked, just like a child. But I wasn't a little girl anymore. My anger filled me with a burning rage. Then it hit me. The anger is me. It's only a curse if I allow it to be one. I'm in control. The choice is mine. I'd found my own cure for my affliction, even though it wasn't what I'd hoped for. I let go completely and unleashed the beast within. We fought for Gran, for my old self, for all the victims of those damn nightmares. Together, the beast and I defeated Baba Yaga for good. When it was over, I realized that despite my changed form, I was still myself. Not a beast, not a girl. I'm both. I'm more. I may never go back to being the girl I once was, but at last, I'm the huntress I was meant to be. I'll continue to fight for Reverie so that everyone can be free.
Since I was a little boy, I have always craved the cheering of the crowd. Never have I felt more alive than when navigating in song over a chorus of instruments. My flute would pierce high above the brass and drums, etching emotions on the hearts and minds of bewildered spectators. I called the crowds that gathered my precious flock of songbirds. They called me their maestro. I often wonder if the pride I felt in such melodious moments was not the cause of the curse that now afflicts me. Perhaps some jealous sorcerer took offense at my popularity, or some wicked wanderer sought glee from my demise. I will one day learn the truth. I have no one left to hear the songs from my youth, and ample time to ponder my predicament. The curse crept upon me as I slept. A great, monstrous, dark form appeared to me in a dream, laughing as it cast a spell, proclaiming that the only ears my songs would henceforth please would be those of rats, mice, and shrews. The next morning when I woke, I was wholeheartedly relieved to learn that this frightful vision had been nothing more than a nightmare. I took out my pipe to play in a nearby plaza and found, to my horror, that it would only sound songs of sorrow, salted in a key of chaos, peppered on a scale of doom. My public could not bear to listen to me, putting hand to ear and feet to ground, and sure enough, as the nightmare had forewarned, my only admirers from that day forward were vile, villainous vermin. The fall from hallowed hall to stinking sewer was a tragedy that took me completely by surprise. Soon, hunger nearly claimed my body, for no town or assembly was client for haunting tunes. I knew no trade other than music, and music, no matter how beautiful or ugly, was little sustenance to a tired body. I was playing near an oak tree used for hangings, where few people dared to come, when a gentle witch named Baba Yaga took pity on my soul. A host of vermin sat around me, bemused by my playing, the only creatures my song still beguiled. Baba Yaga asked why I did not offer my uncomely talent as a service to rid towns of their rats. The idea was novel, and I was desperate for a meal, so I went to a little town named Hamlin and asked if they would pay for me to rid them of their mice. They agreed, so I played, and from that day my reputation was made anew. I, the Pied Piper of Hamlin, would never again fear for want of food. My pockets now sang with the music of clanking coin. Bodily empowered, I took up a quest to determine who had cast this curse upon me, swearing solemnly to send them to an early grave. Reverie has many towns, and all of them have rats. As I rid the villages and hamlets of their infestations, four-footed pariah following me away from their drains and sewers, my name grew more famous than it had been as a musician of the classics. Though I now had a means of livelihood, I did not consider chasing mice a proper profession, for it meant I walked alone. My mood grew dim as my loneliness grew longer. Even Baba Yaga in due course no longer paid me visits. I began to fear I might surely lose my mind. It was one early evening in my darkest hour of that dark day that I heard the clanking sound of a shield approach and the snorting sound of a baby dragon. I was approached by a captain of the Ravenswatch, its eldest guardian, in fact, the old warrior Beowulf. He himself cursedly hounded by a foundling drake. He offered me a place amongst their proud number if I would swear to hunt nightmares and chase them from our lands. As desperate for company as I had once been for food, I accepted the offer. I fought like a devil, playing songs like never before, training my little vermin to do my bidding in this war against the denizens of the dark. The Ravenswatch united many a brave soul under a single purpose: to defeat the nightmares invading reverie and banish them from our world. The tinkerer Geppetto made me flutes like none I had ever played, and Beowulf taught me stratagems to counter enemies on higher ground. Scarlet, Melusine, Aladin, and many more joined me on missions to rid our lands of plague and scorn. It was on one fateful night that I crossed paths with a familiar shadow, that of the very witch who I'd once counted as my one and only friend. Baba Yaga was giving orders to a trio of nightmares, as if it were her, the commander of their wretched campaign of terror. Was this kind witch our enemy? Was Baba Yaga the sorceress that had cursed my songs? That very night, the witch became the focus of my vengeance. I should have known that Baba Yaga was some evil shrew masked in witchy garb. My music did not scare her, nor did it bend her malicious mind to obey my will. She was somehow immune to all my charms. Convinced that the witch had caused my pipe to play afoul, I set out to kill her, and would not rest until she had died. On a night without a moon, I cornered Baba Yaga in her den. All my vermin lent me courage, and all my hatred gave me strength. We fought like two demons, hell-bent and bloody-eyed, neither giving quarter. Never had I played so well. Each note struck home like lightning, and as dawn drew near the shrew, she finally fell. My rats reared up to shred her into oblivion. Then, in her eyes, I saw a glimmer of the woman who had once shown me kindness. To my surprise, I let her go. She scurried off into the night. I kept this mercy to myself, for I knew that something else was behind our curses, and Baba Yaga was yet another victim. My quest for vengeance had only just begun. I have come to understand as I play my cursed pipe that this talent is a blessing. No other musician, for I still consider myself a minstrel, knows songs capable of taming the vermin and making them useful in a fight. I am respected as a warden of revelry, a guardian of the Ravenswatch. I no longer crave the cheering of the crowd, nor the clapping of king and princess. I prefer to know they all sleep well at night, as I chase nightmares from their dreams. The congratulations of my fellow wardens largely suffice to give me comfort through the night. This curse of mine is a gift, and I no longer seek to lose it. A new quest occupies my thoughts, and that is to discover what power truly controls these monsters of the dark and has made our woeful witch serve their true master. When all people and heroes of reverie are free of this bewildering blight, only then shall I seek a way for me to play songs of joy and laughter once more.
Skalds call me Beowulf in ballad and song. Ocean-spawned fury, a sword-wielding storm. Foul kingdoms I've cowered, their misers laid low. My warriors beside me, fear no foe. Great Grendel I'd gutted within his deep grotto. His mother's sweet poison I drank from her bottle. Sped to her death alongside her son, where monsters meet justice, their crimes undone. A weakness, alas, I'd failed to imagine would bring my demise and that of my crewmen. Proudly I went to save village defiled by nightmare-made dragon, by drake made wild. We tether our oars in festering fog. Shadows cling fiendish, the dew-made sod. The path to the lair is covered in thorns, a wretched vine withered from witches' scorn. We charge, dire drake, with breasts steel-clad, ice-tempered lances, their tips painted red. Deep in worm flesh our fury finds ground. Drake breath-fueled furnace makes meat of my men. When all is o'er, my heart still stutters. My party lays lifeless, swords sunk between scales. The worm-wisps drowning in beastly ichor. Our blood mingles, its breath grows lighter. Rage receding, I stare in dragon eyes. A nightmare escapes them and flies to the skies. Amongst the dead bodies of my martyred foray, out pops a pup from a clutch of drake eggs. Squeezing Drake's neck, my hand disobeys. I have slain the pup's mother in fury, in vain. A nightmare had mastered the drake's willed spirit. Monsters laid claim to innocent victim. For weeks I wander with scaled child in tow, a cur spurning milk, blood its favored brew. Worthy mother of dragon proves hard to find. Monsters are best raised by their own kind. Drakes were in hiding, so I turned to the watch. The wardens of the Raven have monsters to catch. I offer the pup, they offer a test. Rid reverie of nightmares, join our brave quest. A warden's badge I agree to take, in hopes of redemption for the drake's sake. We fight like the demons I know I've become, well fit for a saga, unfit to raise sons. I down foul spirits, the pup under wing, fire his first verses, such sad notes to sing. His mother forgotten, perhaps never known, ward of Raven his bosom, his home. None would raise my vile dragon spawn, each hero their curse alone must be borne. None would carry my dreaded guilt, and raise the child of the dragon I'd killed. Bards call me Beowulf, father to Drake, mocking my memory, my foolish mistake. Slaying a dragon and sparing her spawn, cursed to raise him as my own son. So fighting I teach, my Drake a bright pupil, nightmares we chase, though the task is futile. For every beast slain, a second is born. For every soul saved, another is scorned. Sandman calls the watch, with news he's learned. The veil between dream and death is torn. The witch we once knew, named Baba Yaga, has carried out this foul deed, her reason uncertain. We gather our gear, my cursed pup and I. The witch we will slaughter, ensuring she dies. To settle our score, to pay for her curse, I shout, Baba Yaga, come do your worst. Cornered at sunset, the pup spews rage and charges the sorceress, brave for his age. The witch casts a spell that singes my Drake. I fear she has killed him. My heart nearly breaks. An anger consumes me. I race at the witch. She falls and I leave her to see to my pup. My son is but stunned and still breathes fire. I turn to Baba Yaga, but her body is gone. Cradled pup sleeps by my sown side. He snores, we snore like waves at high tide. He dreams, we dream of boasting and battle. He plays with bones, his rage babes rattle. My curse is lifted, to blessing turned. Yet still I remember my son's mother worm. Foul fate, I now teach him to kill or be killed. A peace-filled life, forgotten and stilled. Bards call me Beowulf, warden witchbane, a Ravenswatch father who fought to tame the pup of a dragon and make him his son. Man and monster fighting as one.
In the days before the darkness covered the land, my kingdom was a very different place. The sun shone warm, the hills were verdant, and the fields were fertile. Our people were peaceful and joyous, with few causes for concern and many causes for celebration. I acceded to the throne after the death of my parents, King Kai and Queen Gerda. From the moment the mantle of rulership was clasped around my shoulders, I swore to protect the kingdom from harm just as I would protect my own family. For indeed, following my parents' untimely death, I was left in charge of my infant sister, Lily. I ruled the kingdom with a fair and gentle hand, the same way I raised Lily, and both flourished. I used my healing powers to keep illness and evil at bay. Our nation prospered under my benevolent stewardship. In the 7th year of my reign, when the roses were in bloom and the people were preparing to celebrate summertide, disaster struck. A winter storm rose in a single night, bringing with it a blizzard that left a blanket of snow over the land. Nightmares rode in on the wind, torturing those they met and turning their minds to madness. I opened the palace doors to shelter my citizens from the cold and from the nightmare's touch. Those within the palace walls survived the cold night. Once the storm passed, I led a party to succor any survivors. The destruction was devastating. Nary a trace of vegetation was left. There was only white as far as the eye could see. More terrible yet, there was no movement in the landscape, save for the nightmares in search of fresh victims. The wounded were brought to the palace. I went from one sickbed to the next, providing such healing as I could. It was my duty as queen to come to the aid of all those in need. After healing the last citizen, as I yearned for respite, my faithful aide whispered urgently, "Come quickly. It's your sister." Lily's face was contorted and she raged wildly. When I went to her bedside, Lily shrieked and lacerated me with a blade of ice hidden in her bedclothes. It shattered, and a sharp pain shot through my breast. My aides held her writhing form as I laid my hands on her to free her from the nightmare that possessed her. But this was in vain. The shard of ice that had pierced my heart had corrupted my healing touch. Instead of healing my dear sweet Lily, she died, frozen by my own hand. Even in the darkest of times, a queen's duty is to her people. I had no time to grieve. The kingdom was in crisis. I summoned my most brilliant counselors and savants to understand whence this evil had come, but not even the wisest of men could tell me how this could have been prevented, nor how to put an end to it. For indeed, the winter was never ending. Day after day, the sun rose over the glittering snows that had buried my kingdom. Many began to despair that they would never see a rose in bloom again. Whispered rumors came to my ears, dark mutterings in corners. Some thought I was to blame. They spoke of a royal curse. They thought my malediction proof of some dark stain in my family's past that had brought this evil down on our kingdom. I could not permit such ill misgivings to fester in the darkness. I gathered my people and made a formal proclamation. I myself would set out to find the source of the evil and put a stop to it, to return our kingdom to its true state. I swore that as their monarch, I would not rest until I had restored peace and tranquility to our land once again. With that, I left my council to rule in my stead, and I set out on my own to right the wrong that had been done to my kingdom, as befits a ruler. Such is the fate that was thrust upon me, and I accepted this heavy burden with dignity. In my journeys, I encountered the warriors of the Ravenswatch, who also strove to chase the nightmares from our lands. I agreed to join their ranks and fight alongside them, as long as they served my purposes. I aimed to find the source of the darkness and cast it out. If the Ravenswatch could help further my aims, all the better. However, I had not anticipated the band of misfits and eccentrics such an organization would contain. Among the ranks of the Watch, I found a few kindred spirits, but most were fools and weaklings who would be of no use to me. Time and again, I found myself carrying the heaviest share of our burden. When I finally found the source of the darkness, I discovered Baba Yaga was its source. Emboldened by my righteous vengeance, I vanquished my foe and ended her reign of terror. As my wrath abated, I looked around and caught a glimpse of myself in a looking glass. With horror, I realized that what I saw was not the triumph of good over evil. What I saw instead was one cold-hearted queen standing over the dead, broken body of another. But to what end? To claim her place and reign in her stead? Is that what I had been after all this time? Vengeance for vengeance's sake is hollow, I realized. Baba Yaga's death would not return my dear Lily to me, nor would the nightmares disappear along with her. Reverie had been changed forever, and we must change with it. I must change with it. In the Ravenswatch, I had met a host of well-meaning souls united in a common cause. Though I took them for fools, I saw that a great good had come of our struggle. Together, we were capable of more than any one of us could do individually. For the first time, I realized that I was not alone. I returned home, and to the surprise of all, I left the kingdom in the capable hands of the council who had ruled in my absence. My last decree as sovereign was to order the borders open to all those who will stand against the nightmares. If there is to be hope for Reverie's future, it shall come from working together. This shall be Lily's legacy.
My friend, let my story serve as a cautionary tale, if it should serve as one at all. Life is made of equal parts joy and sorrow. The greater the one, the deeper the other. It's easy to forget when all is well, but the wheel of fortune turns for everyone. You cannot escape what fate has in store for you, but if you are smart, your suffering will make you stronger. I have known both famine and feast. When I married Princess Badra, life was a beautiful dream for a time. Badra, a name as soft and full as the moon itself, rounded and shapely like the figure of my beloved, as she lay beside me, swathed in finest silks. Her dark-rimmed eyes shone, luminous as stars. Her teeth were like pearls, and her laughter more delightful than wine. Her perfume filled my soul and turned my head, and I forgot for a time that the winds do not blow as ships desire. One calm and tranquil morning, a traveling merchant appeared at the palace. Badra invited him in to rest and offered him a cup of wine to soothe his weary soul. He thanked her for her hospitality and offered her a beautiful lamp as a parting gift. The moment my beloved laid her delicate finger on the lamp, a storm of sparks surged from inside, enveloping her in a swirl of smoke. Badra's ruby lips parted to call for help, but no sound escaped them. She was aspirated into the lamp, which slammed shut with an ominous clang. In a panic, I tried to pry open the lamp by force, but to no avail. I called the wisest astrologers and magicians to open the lamp, but they assured me in hushed tones there was nothing they could do. My beloved Badra was gone, trapped inside the lamp by some dark magic. Was I never to taste my beloved's kiss again? Never again listen to her gentle breathing as she slept? Never brush aside the rogue curl that had tumbled over her face as we gazed into one another's eyes? This cannot be, and it will not be. I am Aladin, and I am master of my own fate. I swore to find a way to release my Badra from her golden prison, and so I shall. I decided to seek out the mysterious witch, Baba Yaga, who is rumored to be the most powerful being in all of Reverie, and enlist her help in restoring my beloved Badra to her true form.
I ventured from our palace in search of the illustrious witch. But I am not a navigator like Sinbad, and I erred through reverie like a sleepwalker. I kept my beloved's lamp close to me and spoke to her often, whispering sweet nothings and promises of a golden future together once I had freed her. In my wanderings, I met an old friend, the piper, to whom fate had dealt a bitter share. Who among us was left unchanged when the shadow fell over reverie? It is better to walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light, and reverie had indeed darkened since I last traveled its roads. The nightmares were as numerous as grains of sand. I joined the piper in the Ravenswatch, and we battled the evil creatures together as I sought Baba Yaga. The piper had once known her well, but she hadn't been seen for quite some time. My best chance of finding her was by staying with my friend. The days slipped by like pearls on a silken thread. I never felt closer to Badra than in those quiet moments when I would regale her with the details of the day's battles. The night brought with it shadows, images that would disturb my slumber. They slipped away from me upon waking, like sand through my fingers. Badra, her face contorted in anger. Badra, screaming in pain, crimson bloodstains on the carpet. Badra wrapped in a shroud. Terrifying images, created by the nightmares to torment me. But they felt so real. They became more detailed and more frequent. I began to wonder if I was losing my mind. Was I possessed by the nightmares? Or was it something worse? My encounter with the famed Baba Yaga did not go as I had envisioned. Instead of freeing my beloved from her lamp, the witch claimed Badra's fate was beyond her power. Badra could not be freed from the lamp, as she was not in the lamp. Badra was dead. I refused to believe her. I had seen Badra disappear into the lamp, smelled the magician's sulfur and seen the sparks. Baba Yaga cackled her evil laugh. Those images were tricks of the mind to lead me into madness. My beloved was deceased, and I was weak. Nothing more than a pawn in her games. Upon hearing her words, the floodgates in my mind opened, and memories of Badra came rushing in. I was overcome with emotion. In keeping out the memories of sadness, I had been holding back on moments of joy as well. The witch's taunts released me from the dream that had a hold on my reality. I let go of the dream of Badra I had been clinging to, lest it turn into a nightmare like those I had been fighting. With my true memories of Badra returned to me, I realized I was all the stronger, for alongside the memory of the pain was the knowledge of our deep love, which is the source of my power. Badra shall be with me always, just as she always has been. But today, I no longer need the crutch of the lamp to remind me of it. Together, my beloved and I shall rid the world of the shadows, and one day she and I will be united again for all eternity.
A feisty fish I've always been, my joy, my songs, my sea. Lovers were my favorite dish, the passion was my feast. Solitude was not my fear, countless a dream. No sooner one man drawn in, another man would leave. There's a monster deep inside me, dreaming Still I bore sadness, no children had I born to Baba the witch Yaga, a pact with her I swore. So a potion did she offer, mixed to fill me with desire. I smiled as I fell sleeping, my hand held over my heart. There's a monster deep inside me, drinking up my dreams. Child, I need to grieve you if I break apart. Child, I need to leave you before you eat my heart. That night while I lay dreaming, dark shadows took my sleep. The more I was with only my belly burnt and bleak. In my room the nightmare grew, its feathers some fools do. I knew I had been fooled by a witch who'd be back to take her due. There's a monster deep inside me, drinking up my dreams. Child, I need to grieve you if I break apart. Child, I need to leave you before you eat my heart. I carried my precious cargo to the cross at Ravenswatch. Nightmares may have spawned ye to a siren, there no man. No hell's own dream will take you. Through me they must come, a shark in woman's clothing, too wild, too fierce, too smart. There's a monster deep inside me, drinking up my dreams. Child, I need to grieve you if I break apart. Child, I need to leave you before you eat my heart. I slew nightly Baba's horrors, and silly eyes I gouged. The killer in me surfaced, the mother in me drowned. The watch around me that day I was fit to raise a son, a daughter even less so. What evil had begun? There's a monster deep Yet friends had made believed in me. Scarlet wolf and crime begin. In Ravenswatch I damned that beast and vowed now to save my home. That to the mean I was bound was mine to bear and carry. Who better to rise a monster than a monster who'd been tamed? There's a monster deep inside me, drinking up my dreams. Child, I need to grieve you before I break the bond. Child, I need to leave you before you eat my heart. Papa Yaga would not claim my child. I called upon her first. The pact that we had made in blood had lived my curse. She seemed happy to fall as I came at her, my belly bold and brave. She said I truly earned a fresh start, a fable worthy of the heart. There's a monster deep inside me, drinking up my dreams. Child, I need to grieve you before I break the bond. Child, I need to leave you before you eat my heart.
Once upon a time, I was a happy man. I had everything a humble tinkerer could ever want. A warm workshop, a good reputation, a loving wife, and my greatest treasure of all, a living, laughing son. My boy was a farcer, he was. Good at scaring, good at hiding, and good at all manner of pranks. Red pepper in my stew, rock salt in my shoes, tacks and needles on my chair, and all anger erased by the power of his laugh. His mirth was contagious, the kind to make ribs ache from too much bellowing. I have striven to put the memories of my son behind me. They bring pain to my heart, not just a pang akin to hammer-hitting finger or nail-piercing foot, but a pain that does not disappear. Alas, this sad story I must tell. I have learned that tears unshed hide from us our brightest riches far more completely than any darkness ever could. Years of labor and experimentation had led to the unveiling of my masterpiece. The mayor of Sugarland had asked me for a town clock that would only need winding once a year. I surpassed myself. My town clock not only told the time, but performed a ballet every hour on the hour, danced by autonomous plum fairies to the symphony of an orchestra of animal musicians. The mayor stood smiling beside my family as he pulled the lever to unleash the springs of my clever contraption. The clock began to tick. and then whistle and whirl itself to life, as per my careful design. Then it suddenly screeched a sound that was not part of my invention. Black shadows rose within the tower, and to their chorus my dancers drew knives they should not have had, and my musicians bared teeth I had not made for them. The clock continued ticking as those gathered at the assembly fell dying, one by one. Shaking free from my fear during what seemed like an eternity, I took the dead mayor's cane and wedged it into a central gear. The clock died while the nightmares feasted on our misery. Night had not yet come when the town militia finally chased the nightmares from Sugarland. I remember the red sky glowing like a dying ember through grey ash. My son's body lay where it had fallen, amongst the bodies of the assembly. He lay beside his broken mother, a wound to her head, a blow from which she would never awaken. This was a bittersweet blessing, for she was spared from learning that our son had died that night, taken by foul monsters from someone else's vile dreams. She would never have to mourn our proudest creation. I decided that mourning my wife and child could wait until I had rid Reverie of the creatures that had killed our son. Even were it to take me a lifetime, I would not shed a tear until I had destroyed them all, each and every one. Once my dead had been buried, I packed my equipment and set out to find the Ravenswatch. They accepted me, and I made the oath. We were a strange lot, but we all had a shared motivation. None would rest until our world was freed of nightmares. I had taken pieces and parts from my clock tower with me to study what had gone wrong. The nightmares had gifted the automatons of my creation with something strange, a pulse of sorts. The metal in their bodies had been magnetized by some kind of electric source, giving them an autonomy akin to a living being. Though I did not yet know how to bring about this effect on my own, I had ample supply from the dancers and musicians of my perverted machine to bring doom upon my family. I began to tinker with these pieces and build new playthings of my own. My new toys were not made for children, but rather to avenge their deaths. Equipped with explosive powders, corrosive acids, and poisonous blades, I began to build a metal regiment that nightmares would learn to fear. My creatures had no heart or soul to stay their hand from the cold tasks at hand. They would do for me what my human heart prevented me from doing myself. My little scoundrels could kill without mercy. I needed only to ask. I built weapons for the other wardens of the watch. My favorite, a flute for the piper. My scoundrels performed their duty without question or complaint. The nightmares and creatures of the darkness began to fear them. For wherever one came walking, that meant the Ravenswatch were near. We wardens shared one thing in common. We hated the nightmares, for they had taken something precious from each of us. It was after a time that we learned how Baba Yaga had brought these creatures from a dark world into reverie, and made us each in our own way turn our tools into weapons. My automatons took damage without pain in these endless fights, and I began to take pride in them. Their courage, I knew, was only the fruit of my own calculated handiwork, but it seemed that strange metal gave a glitter to their eyes. All I knew was that in their wickedness, the nightmares had given me the means to destroy them. Every scoundrel I fabricated took me one step closer to their end. Though I had seen my scoundrels accomplish many great things, they never stopped surprising me. One morning I noticed that they had begun to share my bunk, though whether to protect me in my sleep or for fear of passing the night alone, I am not certain. When the scoundrel I had come to call Cheery Eye brought me a piece of wood to kindle the fire, I was reminded of my son for the first time in unaccounted nights. I began to take careful notice of my scoundrels' comings and goings. They reminded me of children, minus the mischief, which was the only thing that let me know they were not human. It appeared that they liked me, and though I knew them indestructible, for I could always fix them when they were broken, I found myself worrying for their well-being. I taught them other tricks besides killing and destruction. Cheery Eye learned to bake a pie. They were not human, I knew it, and their life was due to a dark metal that had given them a simulacra of life. But still, every morning I would find them near my bed. Baba Yaga's laughter was not the contagious sort. It was that of someone crazed and desperate, driven to madness by too many shattered dreams. When I finally got the best of her, I asked a simple question. Why do you seek to destroy our peaceful world? Baba Yaga spoke. All stories have an age. Reverie fades from the minds of women and men. Something had to be done. Baba looked at my scoundrels, and a smile softened her crazed face. You have such beautiful children. To my own surprise, I answered, I'm proud of each and every one. I slept that night for the first time with happy dreams of my son and wife. In the morning I awoke, surrounded by my scoundrels who had made me breakfast and tea. The eggs were perfect, but the tea was spiked with black pepper. For the very first time, I heard my scoundrels laugh.
Who better to tell the story of the fall of Sun Wukong than Sun Wukong himself? I am named Heaven's Equal by immortal demons and eternal queens alike. I mastered the 72 powers of transformation. I escaped the mythical mountain after 500 years in chains. I know the names of every monkey ever born. I am the Monkey King, the greatest warrior to ever walk the worlds of reverie. My brush weaves words as gracefully as my staff wreaks havoc. I am the equal of all poets. This is my tale to tell. This is the magnificent story of the tainting of my crown by jealous, fiendish rivals which led to my great demise, doomed to walk among mortals in their shattered dreams. It is said that every great warrior fall, just as a good carpenter needs good wood. I shall defeat these nightmares who have kept their names a secret. Just as a clap cannot produce sound with a single hand, neither can a god be slain before the deaths of his rivals. The dead go, the living stay. So it was written on my palace walls, where I ruled with mirth and marvel. To live is to dance in celebration of all the treasures the heavens have bestowed upon us. In my palace, music filled the air like petals graze the wind, announcing the coming of cherries and plums. The only law I set to enforce was that of constant celebration. Sorcerers received open invitations so long as they could dance or sing or amuse us with some trick worthy of my palace. In my zealous generosity, I have forgotten the teaching of my master. You cannot live near cinnabar without becoming red, nor ink without becoming black. Would I have remembered this, I would not have opened my doors to a sorceress dressed in black and her 1,000 shadow dancers. The promise of seeing 1,000 shadows dance seemed worthy of my halls, which were so brightly lit that all normal shadows had been chased away by the exuberant lights. The only payment the sorceress asked for was the right to kiss my crown. And so out they poured from her chest to greet my guests. So much blackness from a box was thrilling until the shades ripped through my entourage and put an end to our festivities. As morning light dispersed the darkness from my tarnished halls, and lust of battle fled my veins, I was taken with a pain I had never before felt. My immortal blood dripped from several wounds I had taken in the fight that would not heal. My foes had fled, their dark deed done. My guests were dead or gone. This mysterious sorceress had cast a curse upon my crown, and now I was mere mortal, vulnerable to death. Sun Wukong could not die here. I must make my story right. What the mouth speaks means nothing. Only deeds can be judged. I wandered reverie in search of the dark sorceress and 1,000 shadow dancers. I met a piper who knew not of the sorceress, but said my description of the shadow dancers reminded him of what he called nightmares. He proposed that I join the Ravenswatch and fight amongst their wardens who have vowed to rid the world of these demons. I laughed at the man and went on my way. I am Sun Wukong, heaven's equal. I do not fight alongside mortals. They would only slow me down. How could mortals be worthy of mention in my spectacular tale? Days went by, and I could find no trace of the sorceress who had cursed my crown. I came to feel that the shadow dancers feared me and so refused to fight. I then remembered the teaching of my master. Sit by the river long enough, and the bodies of your enemies will come floating in the current. After 7 eternal minutes of waiting that nearly drove me mad, a beautiful woman came by, her hands spitting ice, freezing the stream so she could cross. I quickly went to her and asked if she were a goddess. She replied in haste, I am a queen. I have not time for conversation. I am chasing a nightmare. I jumped to follow her despite her forebodings, and for a moment I thought she might turn me to ice. I am Sun Wukong, heaven's equal and the king of all monkeys. I am on a quest to defeat 1,000 shadow dancers of an evil dark sorceress. She has cursed me and made me mortal. The queen stared at me with a glare that could have frozen an ocean before saying words that put a fire into my heart. You can join me, so long as you can keep up. I have been made mortal by a treacherous sorceress, but my prowess in battle is the broth of legend's soup. I am cast of the iron reserved for statues at the Heaven's Gate. Monsters I destroyed, nightmares I chased, witchly plans I foiled. Yet still the wardens show me little respect and would not make me their king. Tethered by my mortal coil, it proved difficult to outfight my unequals in battle against the monsters. I could pounce like a tiger, but no longer jump from mountaintop to mountaintop. I could run faster than a breeze, but no longer outrun the winds. Still, I made certain to be the first warrior to charge our foes in battle, even when the other wardens called for a stupider strategic approach. The fruit does not wait to fall according to the will of the tree, but rushes to the ground with determination, regardless of the bruises it knows it will suffer. I lunged, tail flying, facing 3 nightmares with nothing but my staff. For the first time in my glorious existence, I tasted the sour milk of defeat. Wounded, I fell, with eyes wide open. I could see nothing but stars. I thought I would now visit the halls of death, but it was not my time. My mortal life was saved by Nice, the Snow Queen, the sorceress of ice, and now the salvation of heaven's equal.
I would not be alive to write my glorious tale of doom and demise had it not been for that mortal's intervention. My shame was godly, the redness of my face brighter than the sun. The next day, my tail had lost its bounds, and my head weighed heavy on my shoulders. The skies cried drops of heavy tears, for when a god knows shame, the heavens weep. It was then that I heard the screams of villagers, and without thinking, ran to defend them. I laid low a dozen monsters in a nightmare that day, and caught a glimpse of the sorceress where I kissed my crown. My foe was Baba Yaga. My vengeance had a name. After that battle, much to my surprise, the wardens of the watch began to treat me with measured dignity. The piper boy played a song for me. The old warrior chanted a poem. Nis, the mortal sorceress, took my godly paw and shook it proudly. She told me that I was a fool, but a brave one. That I saved a dozen souls of reverie that day. This time, she added, you knew you could die. Like a riddle from my master, Nissa's words gave me pause. Are these humans in their mortal bodies braver than we gods? They fight, always knowing that each moment might be their last. Their lives, a tiny pebble thrown into a giant ocean. Their tiny ripples fighting tide and waves to change the fate of reverie. I remember then my master saying something about a butterfly causing a cyclone. Or might it have been the sneeze of a dog? I found Baba Yaga and had her life at my mercy. I ordered her to remove the curse upon my crown, to take back her putrid kiss. She laughed at me and told me she was proud. I, the Monkey King, heaven's equal, had defeated her in the body of a mortal. What greater fate was there than that? She would gladly now remove my curse so that I might return to my former life of deathless glory. I sensed in her words a trap. How could I return to being a god when I had become the greatest of all mortals? The clever witch. All my great feats of courage would lose their savor if I were to be freed of death and my powers returned. I refused that she undo her dreadful kiss. I would wear a tarnished crown, for under it I had made myself a champion equal to no other, equal not only to the heavens, but all the hells as well. I was now the greatest hero of reverie, a god made mortal, a warrior worthy of all titles. I, Sir Wukong, the Monkey King, heaven's equal, and worthy to be king of Ravenswatch. All that was left was to convince my fellow wardens.
My precious Laura, my heart had nearly ceased its beating before you wandered so gracefully into my dull and awkward routine. I had read countless stories and even more poems about the power of love, but no word, no rhyme had prepared my soul for the tremor your presence set to rippling through my bones. My body ached, my mind ran in circles. For the first time in the billowing of a century, my lips proved incapable of uttering an intelligent thought. Alas, you were merciful and took me gently by the hand. And after days of torture, worried my affliction was not shared, you offered me a kiss that set my heart aloft. Your father, so kind to invite me into your home, was the first to stand between us. He could never understand the nature of a creature such as me. His plans for your future were material for a photograph. A husband, a wife, a half-dozen toddlers still clinging to your courageous womb. You wanted a life with me, so we made one and eloped. How I miss you, my love. Might these letters bring you back to me, if only in a whisper. Your eternal love, Carmilla. My precious Laura, I still feel the warmth of your mischievous gaze each time I miss a button on my blouse or poorly straighten my collar. For 12 short years, you were there every morn to assure I looked my best. It was for you and you alone I reddened my lips with carmine. When one walks with a flower, it is best to stride in blossom. I stand firmly even today, with all that has come to pass, on our decision not to turn you into a vampire. Though my powers are formidable, and I do not seem to age, a part of me does fade. I know now that it is the better part of me that withers. When you were there in my life, my heart and my humanity knew eternal spring. With you gone, the leaves have fallen, and the monster inside me demands its due. We had agreed that you would grow old, and how rich and comforting those years of bliss were to me. Then came the nightmares, and you watched the family and friends you held dear ripped to pieces and their homes ravaged. I must admit, I had forgotten the pang of pain of loss of kin. I had buried my family centuries ago with all their dreams and mine. Alas, I could never say no to you. And when you begged me to gift you with my affliction in order to help save those remaining, the monster inside me applauded. And the mortal shed a tear. Your eternal love, Carmilla. My precious Laura, I had never turned another person before you, either willing or against their will. I was not even sure that I could. I'm a daywalker, a vampire, a rare breed of monster that is made in their vampire mother's womb. I was born with this thirst for blood, and never knew the taste of a mother's milk. Your devastation was killing you. Your family castle burned. All those that had raised you nearly dead or worse. And so I let you drink my blood and turned you into a monster. At first it seemed a good decision. The Ravenswatch accepted us both into their fold, and quickly we became a pair of murdering Amazons no other guardian could rival. We avenged your family and drained the blood from both monsters and nightmares. How splendidly you stalked, how deadly you became. Even when we realized that you could no longer support daylight, it did not diminish our affection. We hunted by night and slept by day in your family's castle vault, the final occupants of your childhood home. I like to think we could have lived centuries in that manner, if we had not crossed paths with old Geppetto, the tinkerer mourning his ravaged son. Your eternal love, Carmilla. My precious Laura, when you discovered the old tinkerer squeezing the body of his boy in some futile hope that he could bring him back to life, a rage grew inside you only power could quell. You craved faculties only human blood could give you. I did not fathom the depth of the wound inside you. I thought your tears for the little boy would dry. Lacerations can heal, punctures are prone to fester. A needle was lodged within your heart. You began to disappear at night on longer hunts than was our custom. I could smell the sweetness of human ichor behind your ears and beneath your nails. Your temper grew shorter than candles before the dawn. I worried, I warned. Blood is a drug. When abused, a thirst unquenchable. The pain within your heart had made you deaf to my pleas. The rush of power did the rest. And then one day, you were gone. Your eternal love. My precious Laura, I searched for days with the watch, all of our secret hiding places, and nights our favorite hunting grounds. You were nowhere to be found. Thrice I found the remains of your prey. Your powers had become even more terrifying than my own. Bodies cleaved into several parts, throats ripped from ear to ear, heads found 12 feet from their bodies with expressions fixed in final terror. The devastation was so complete and the victims so many that I could no longer separate the guilty from the innocent. Then one night I caught your scent, and we tracked you to a mossy clearing in the heart of an ebony wood. You had found a new Pygmalion, the witch Baba Yaga, and she had applauded your transformation. Beowulf rushed headlong into the trap and fell to your claws. Soon bounced through 2 nightmares and was brought down by a 3rd. I stood motionless in the onslaught. I could not believe you would attack your own. If it were not for the Snow Queen's eyes to defend our retreat and rescue from the ravens, we would have died. Now I knew you were truly lost, and I had not the slightest clue on how to find you. Your eternal love, Carmilla. My precious Laura, our friends of the Watch left me alone to mourn your betrayal. Though I know they shared my pain, I was inconsolable for weeks, wishing I had the disposition to take my own life. An easier, darker path began to tease my mind. I could simply join you and the witch, abandoning my human nature to become a horror alongside the woman I loved. And so I began to send you letters, asking for you to come and meet me when the moon was at its fullest and the sun its farthest from the dusk and dawn. You joined me in all your splendor, with eyes aglow and hunger in your bosom. We kissed. I like to think that I saw a last glimmer of your human soul as I drove the wooden stake deep into your heart. The tears in my eyes were playing tricks on my vision. 1,000 moments of joy and happiness passed before me as your light went out. I buried you in your family vault alongside the tombs of those who had raised you. I wept upon your grave, filled with the pain one can only know when one has truly loved. Wherever you had gone, I would soon join you. I set off to kill the witch. Your eternal love, Carmilla. My precious Laura, defeating Baba Yaga failed to dampen the pain of your loss. If anything, it only made me understand how terribly I had failed you. My desire to please you occulted my judgment. I knew better than to turn a soul as pure as yours to the dark path. The witch was only following her chaotic nature. She had abandoned her humanity long ago. I was still half human. I should have protected you from the thirst. I was about to say as much to you as I visited your grave, only to find the tomb empty. Your body was gone without a trace, all save for the stake I had driven through your heart. It sat on a vigil stand with candles still burning. Hope for my future was rekindled in those tiny flames. And so I write to you these letters and leave them in your coffin, dreaming that one day you might read them. There is another, more selfish reason I write them. For as long as there is a chance you are still alive, I breathe more warmly. Each word I write chases a little farther from my heart the monster within me. It is the memory of you that makes me want to carry on. It is the memory of you that keeps me human. Your eternal love, Carmilla.
Dear Romeo, O Romeo, 'tis thee who writes these lines with thine own hand. Ridiculous, I hear thee say, and so thou speaketh every morn these many moons, since Juliet and thou feigned death and won. 'Tis true your poison ruse was met with great success. Alas, the price was steep. Thus kept thy wit, but lost come morn its mental purchase. Heed this early hour, to ponder why thy written words are nightly lost to memory, whence thou'st fall to dream. Dawn scars attesting now that yesterday thy sword was surely drawn,
Thy scratches healed before the dawn. Be off, now kiss thy Juliet. Her heart has never faltered, sacred vows she never altered. Daily she remembers all since Baba Yaga's curse had last transpired, since tragic death you both beguiled. Thy Romeo Montagues, of memory lost. Dear Romeo, again I write to me. Thee readily shall noteth soon with fright how old and tired this letter has become. For thou hast read it 1,000 times. Its weathered state bears testament to countless frowns, frustrations toll, a writ upon thine aging brow and Juliet's fair face. So strange a curse to live and then forget. So strangely blessed, revived by Juliet. But as this never-ending day grows darker, thou hast come to doubt. This gift is bent, for if you die, your lover dies as well. So dictates Baba's wicked healing spell. To blame a witch for all that has befallen us tolls clearer than a morning bell. But truth be known, our present strife is not the fault of Yaga. Father and our family feud is what put turtle doves to flight and turned our dreams to sleepless, frightful nights. So I implore thee, future shadow of myself, encourage Juliet with flower and warming words. She is no more to blame than midnight moth afflitting to the flame. Thine Romeo of Montagues, of family fought. Dear Romeo, bold Romeo, lend ear. At last we've read enough to know these letters are from thee, and so 'tis time to speak about this flock of ravens, brash unkindness, Juliet and thee have opted to join. We wear the emblem of the Ravenswatch. These warriors know thy name and worth in battle, tested by their side in lines hard held against vile hordes invading reverie. So now we quell with quill these memories fled. The warrior braying fiercely, with a dragon pup in tow, we call Sir Beowulf. And he is often found a courting siren Melusine, although the babe fast in her belly is not his. Important is this detail, lest you rend their fragile hoax. Doth not forget Geppetto, who we knew when we were boy. His toys are now quite deadly. Keep to mind, the nightmares slew his child. The wizard's name I have forgot. The boy who sits atop a beast is friend, not foe. The flax-haired maiden, soft and sweet, is far more deadly than first gaze would wrongly tell. Thy Romeo of heralded Ravenswatch. Dear Romeo, sad Romeo, shed tears. A melancholy lurks amidst the glee. A fleeting felon peeking through that smile, our Juliet pretends joyful pity free. And if perchance thou seest clear beyond the laughter past pure love's embrace, know this, though we are still a child in mind, and she a princess grown, for sake of love we must endure. A child to raise was once a hope we'd fashioned in our dreams of futures shared. But now I am that boy, and she the elder sister of a farce the fates begat. Unworthy of her mindful patience, dull where she doth shine, a toddler wielding well his sabre, whilst she learneth twice combined. If tears of sorrow fill thine eyes, dry fast, for Juliet must never fears suspect. Thou hast the day, from dawn till sleep requires its restful due, to chase the child and capt the man she needs thee quickly to become. The blessing turns to curse, whence we forget that happiness comes never sans its cost. Thine Romeo of drying eyes. Dear Romeo, brave Romeo the bold, this day thou'st had a vision, how to free thy Juliet from Charon's chained enchantment. Whence thee die, so wouldst thy maiden perish. Death, a caster must endure, For death's own spell to die, the curse's curser must depart. Thou art still clever, though thy mind is young. Thou knowest that whither Baba Yaga's spell has been undone, thy life might forfeit, failing magic's hold to earthly realms below. This must be done, for Juliet deserves a life unfettered by thy cursed coil. The witch, well, she must die. Today would be most fitting, for tomorrow never comes. And now these final words I must address to thee, my sweet, sweet Juliet. Forgive me my untelling of our forlorn paradise. Thou dost deserve a better end than tied to miscued blasted strife. If Baba's witchly final breath undoes my life anon, then know I leave this stage with no regret, for I have loved, and I've been loved, and love my soul has wed. Romeo Montagues, of rightful quest. Dear Romeo, of witchly battle wrought, the plan was simple, carefully thought, to slay a witch and make her not. And so we charged, 2 Lancelots entwined in deathly dance we fought, to down the nightmare sorceress. Mad Baba Yaga fought with rage from flying cauldron, boiling bile and spitting flames. With each and every step we took, the witch had counter. Juliet went down to knee. Thou jumped and jabbed. Within the secret second, thine own lady had prepared a trap of Capulet device, her plan, your hand. Within that fateful glimpse of triumph, thou didst shatter all resolve to fell the cursed architect of thine calamity. Forsooth, the witch's ghastly plans must end. Alas, thy life must carry on so long as Juliet draws breath. She draws upon thy youthful hope to fire her guns on sight, and thou reliest upon her wit to carry thee till night unto the morning light. The witch's life we spared, her monsters on the run. Our deadly dance has just begun. Thy Romeo wed Capulet, of battle won. O Romeo, true Romeo, at last! Embrace the joy this danger-filled today prepares, for though you will forget the details, bonds of friendship in Ravenswatch remain. It's seen within these warriors' gazes, trust is not a prize unearned, but given only after proof of loyalty is learnt. For thou hast found eventful purpose, side by side with Juliet. The life you two have forged from sorrow, tempered nightly in the waters of the Styx, is chance for thee to love delightful, fired by newness, wander ever kindling kisses stolen from the grave. 'Tis also chance for her to grow and ponder, brightly thinking, smarter grinning, ever fonder of the man thou hast become. There is no shame for 2 sound souls to walk as one, each day its share of novelty, each night its share of unexpected love. I lift a glass to future dawns, when children born from blessed compromise will call to me their father, mindful I've forgotten all their names, but not the love I store. Mine Romeo of lifted heart.
Most faithful nurse, would that mine hand had not cause to pen these doleful lines, yet cruel, capricious fortune doth mock me. Romeo liveth, though I dare not call it a blessing. By a cruel trick of fate, my beloved Romeo did not receive the missive from the good friar detailing his ingenious ruse and news of my feigned death. Thus, my love, o'ercome with despair, came to my tomb and thought to join me in eternal sleep. When I awoke, prepared to embrace my love and depart for our golden future, I was dismayed to see that death's pale flag was planted on his brow.
I grieved as one shattered beyond repair. In my despair, I struck a devil's bargain. The witch, Baba Yaga, whose arts know neither mercy nor limit, hath returned him to me, but not as he once was. His heart knoweth me still, but his memory is a blank slate. Each morning, when my Romeo awakens, he casts a loving gaze upon me, yet remembers naught that transpired afore. He believes it to be the morn after our wedding day, that last peaceful day before this tragedy. Oh, nurse, what jest is this, that death should lay his claim upon my love, then yield him back to me, robbed of his memory? He is here, and yet he is lost. If heaven be just, why doth it play me thus? Or is justice but a dream, and life naught but a waking sorrow? Write to me, dear nurse, though I know not what comfort thou may send. If thou hast words to mend a broken soul, send them swift, for I am unmade. Your loving Juliet. Most faithful nurse, I was surely born under an ill-omened star. Each morn I apprise Romeo of all that has transpired. Upon learning of his new situation, he has decided to set each day's occurrences down for his future self in the form of letters that may serve as a replacement for his now broken memory. He hath taken this new existence in stride, and his demeanour is cheerful. Yet I suffer to see it. Though his step is light and his voice untroubled, I feel terrible guilt that by my grief I condemned him to this half-life, that my hand that did clasp his in love hath wrought his undoing, I cannot bear. O nurse, how selfish was my love! I did think only of my own grief, my own desolation, and in seeking to mend my heart, I have unmade his very soul. Yet I dare not weep, for he is well. He wakes with the sun and sleeps in peace, untroubled by the ghosts that do haunt my every hour. This must be comfort enough, though it doth burn within me like a brand. I have saved his body, but stolen his soul, and I cannot make it right. Pray for me, nurse, for I am lost. Your despondent Juliet. Most faithful nurse, I rage, I weep, I plead with heaven, yet no word of comfort nor sign of hope cometh to ease my troubled heart. I resign myself to the idea that Jove has abandoned me to my fate. I, and I alone, am the sole mistress of my destiny. And so, I must go to her. I shall seek the wretched crone who hath wrought this curse upon my love, and make her undo her wicked craft. I will find her, though I must walk through fire and shadow, though I must beg and crawl and yield all that I am. Let her take all my remaining years, relieve me of my breath, if she will but give him back himself. I care not for the cost, so long as Romeo is whole once more. Thus we shall leave fair Verona, which has grown far less fair of late, as the shadow of darkness has descended upon it. I know not what evil we shall find beyond our city's walls, but I am prepared for the worst. I have spent these long weeks honing my skill with the pistol, that Romeo and I may be equal partners on the battlefield as in life. I am certain now that my hand will not waver when I aim my weapon at the witch and demand that she reverse her spell. When father taught me to shoot, he thought it simply an amusing pastime. Ne'er could he have imagined it would become my only desperate hope. Dearest nurse, If I should fail in my quest, know that I love thee well, and that I did go gladly. For I would rather be dust upon the wind than live to see Romeo lost. Your wrathful Juliet. Most faithful nurse, the moon doth wax and wane, the sun doth rise and fall, yet naught doth change for us. Each morning, Romeo reads his letters, tracing the words with his fingers as if they might awaken some sleeping part of him. But they do not. At night, he closes his eyes, and when he wakes, the cycle begins anew. We have hunted Baba Yaga through darkened woods and whispering shadows. We slay the nightmares together, fighting as one, steel flashing in the dark. Yet, for every horror vanquished, another doth appear. I fight as one possessed, for if I should falter, he would perish. And yet, would it not be a kindness? If I should fall, he would fall as well, and at last be released from this eternal return. Oh, nurse, I am weary, not of Romeo, but of this endless, ceaseless turning of days. We do not live, we persist. I know not where I shall find the strength to carry on. And yet, what choice have I? I swore a sacred vow to love him till my dying day, and I would love him still even from beyond the grave. Nothing can separate us, not even the darkest night. If this is all that remains of our dream for a life together, then I shall endure it, for at least he is beside me. At least he is living and whole in body, if not in mind. I do not know what end awaits us. Until then, I shall walk beside him. Even if I should become but a ghost to him, I would haunt him still. Your melancholy Juliet. Most faithful nurse, a curious thing hath befallen us. I know not whether 'tis fate or mere chance, but for the first time in an age, I feel the stirrings of hope. Not the wild, desperate hope that drove me to seek Baba Yaga's cruel mercy, nor the hollow hope that dawn might restore remembrance to Romeo's eyes. We have found others. They call themselves the Ravenswatch, warriors and wanderers like us, sworn to fight against the darkness, each with a deep wound that doth not heal. In their company, I see that I am not the most forsaken among them. Though I have lost the future I dreamt of, my Romeo lives. There are those who have lost far more. Romeo doth take to them well, for though his memory is gone, his heart is kind. I have watched them teach and guide him, and though he waketh each morning without memory, he has learnt to trust them. For the first time in an age, I do not feel alone. I am still uncertain of our future, but no longer do I tread this path in solitude. Perhaps that is enough. This is our life now, fighting, forgetting, and loving anew with each day. But it is a life, nurse, and after drowning in despair for so long, I think that is no small thing. Write to me with news of Verona, for though I have found company, none shall ever be so dear to me as thee. Your hopeful Juliet. Most faithful nurse. Oh, how blind I have been! How tightly I did cling to what I had lost, that I did not see the future unspooling before me. The grief that hath weighed upon my breast was never for Romeo. It was for a dream that cannot be and which I could not let go. My Romeo is not broken. He is ever the man who ascended to my balcony and won my heart. The fault hath never been in him, but in my refusal to who he hath become. He waketh each day with naught but the words he hath written to himself, yet ne'er doth he waver. He doth not rage against his fate. Rather, he takes up his sword, laughs with his companions, and presses on. There is no despair in him, only resolve. I, who thought myself strong, have in fact been weak all along. I wish to be brave, to walk beside him, not as a mourner, but as his steadfast partner and his wife. I cannot change the past, but I can stand with him now, laugh with him, dream with him. A different dream, a new dream. Our future shall not be the one I had once woven in my heart, of quiet days and golden years untouched by sorrow. But we have today, and we have each other. That, I see now, is enough. Dear nurse, I would have thee know that I am well. At long last, I am ready to walk forward, hand in hand with Romeo, into whatever future may come. Your grateful Juliet. Most faithful nurse, I scarce know how to set quill to page, for my heart is full beyond measure. Mere words cannot capture a fraction of the joy that hath taken root within me. Once I did not believe happiness possible, but let this be proof that life doth ever surprise us, if we but open our arms to embrace it. My love for Romeo was never in doubt, but my feelings of guilt clouded my hope for our future. Romeo's fortitude has shown me the way. He wakes each day as a man unchained by regret, eager to greet the new dawn, and I do the same. We forge each day anew, hand in hand, heart in heart, and what greater proof of love is there than that? And now, the greatest joy of all, I am with child. I no longer fear what is to come. Whatever trials await us, we shall face them together and shall find our way, as we always have. And should the child look upon his father and wonder why he must tell his tale anew each day, we shall answer not with sorrow, but with pride. For this child shall grow knowing that his father is the bravest man alive, that he is steadfast and strong, and that his heart knoweth love even when his mind doth not recall its name. Write to me soon, nurse, and tell me thou art well. I would have thee near when the child is born, for there is no other hand I would trust to soothe him as thou once didst soothe me. At last, at long last, I am at peace, and how very sweet it is. Your loving Juliet.